On this video, I am going to continue what I have been doing in the book of Job. That is, looking inductively at a grammatical analysis followed by a brief commentary. We have worked our way up to chapter 21, and I'm picking up at verse 14. For anyone that's following along or might be interested, we have done the preceding chapters 1 up to this point, in the same way, as well as chapter 28 and the speeches of the Lord in chapters 38 to the end of the book. So we are now in chapter 21, and we're looking at Job's second reply to Zophar. And as we've looked at this chapter, it is his sixth reply, and he is repudiating the thesis of Zophar that the wicked suffer and are cut off from God. Job says that there are wicked who live, become old, and wax mighty in power. Their houses are safe, and they have healthy children like a flock of sheep. They spend their days in prosperity, go peaceably to the grave, and calamity seldom overtakes them. The only explanation of all of this is the providential dealings of God, which no man can penetrate. This is Job's argument as we're looking at this chapter. And so we pick it up then in verse 14. We have worked our way up to this point. So going to the Hebrew, Vayomer la'el sur mimenu. Yet, speaking of the wicked, they said to God, depart from us. Sur is a cow imperative, masculine singular. Depart from us, and that we do not desire the knowledge of your ways. V'da'at derachecha lo chafadzta. That is the knowledge of your ways. Here we have the noun da'at in construct with devarecha. The knowledge of your ways, lo chafadzta, we do not desire. From chafat, it's the cow perfect, first common plural from chafat. So he's quoting the wicked here and what they are saying. Although they reject God and want no part of his instruction, his point is they still are able to continue their life and to prosper, to have prosperity and ease. So Job is critiquing what his friends, so-called friends, have been saying all along. So then we move on to verse 15. It reads, excuse me. Excuse me, I had to sneeze. Verse 15. Ma Shaddai ki na avdenu, uma no il ki nifga bo. That is, what is the Almighty Shaddai, that we should serve him? And what profit should we have if we entreat him or pray to him? So what is the Almighty that we should serve him? What profit is the Almighty? Is the question. Ki na avdenu. Na avdenu is from the root avad, to serve, It's a cow imperfect, first common plural from avad. We have the hinge in n, and then who was the pronominal suffix historically, and the hey by reverse assimilation has gone back into the nu. So na abden hu became na abdenu, that we should serve him. And what prophet, Uma Goel, or Noel, what prophet is there that we should entreat him or pray to him? Nifga, again, is the cow imperfect first common plural. Both of these are first common plurals, not Avdenu and Nivga, that we should entreat him. And so, what good? The wicked, Job is asking. The wicked are not concerned about what is right. They ask how much prosperity they will receive if they obey God. They are motivated not by that, but they are motivated by their own selfishness. What material benefit is the thought? Will God reward me if I serve him? Is really their attitude. And that attitude is still alive today. What many, they may not openly say it, but in the heart, people may be thinking, I'm very successful, I'm very prosperous, I have all the money I need, so what purpose is there in serving the Lord and being a part of him? This is the thought here. And by the way, there are several texts that could be used with reference to this. That would be Proverbs 30, verse 9, Malachi 3:14, and Exodus 5, verse 2. So we continue in verse 16. Hein lo biyadam tuva. Behold, or lo, their prosperity is not in their hand, or their good is not in their hands. And notice, atzat rashaim ra'aka mimeni. The counsel of the wicked is far from me. Here again, Eitzah is in construct here with reshaim, the plural adjective. So the counsel of the wicked is far from me. From rachak, to be far, it's a cow perfect third feminine singular going with atzat. So is far from me. And I think what Job is saying here, he cannot understand why God allows the wicked to prosper. Their prosperity comes not from their own hand, but from God, seems to be his argument. So basically, Job is saying, I just can't put that together. It doesn't fit what his friends have been arguing. So verse 17, Kama ner reshaim yid'at. How often is the lamp of the wicked put out? Here he's asking the question, how often is the lamp or the light, and that looks at success, is put out? From da'at, it's the cow imperfect third masculine singular. How often does that happen? That their calamity comes upon them. Vayavo alemo Adam. That their calamity is the way I'm understanding this, comes upon them. Vayavo is from bo, to come. It's the cow imperfect, third masculine singular from bo. That he, the next phrase, chavalim yechalek be'apo, that he distributes pains in his anger. Chavalim meaning pains, yechalek means to distribute, from chalak, it's the PL imperfect, third masculine singular from chalak. And so the point that Job is making here in verse 17 is how often is the lamp of the wicked extinguished? And a lamp is picturing life and prosperity. Calamity seems to escape them as they spend as they really are as they spend their lives doing their own thing, and they are spared from the judgments of God's anger. This, by the way, is in direct contrast to Bildad, who had emphasized that the light of the wicked would be put out. See, for example, chapter 18, verse 5. So you can see how the author is beautifully weaving his argument and having Job critique what the friends have said. So in verse 18, it reads, Veyu keteven lifnei ruach uchemotz negavato sufa. That is, that they as stubble, that they are stubble before the wind, and as chaff that the storm steals. Here we have the cow imperfect, third masculine plural from haya, that is, they are as stubble, heaven, before the wind, and chemot as chaff that the storm steals, that it steals. And so the point seems to be in verse 18, how often are the wicked like stubble before the wind, or as chaff driven before a storm? The answer expected simply is not very often. The images used here, by the way, are well-known pictures of God's judgment in the Hebrew scriptures. For example, see Psalm 1, verse 4, and Isaiah 17, verse 13. So now we come to verses 19 to 21. And we continue the argument. At this point in his argument, Job interjects a possible counter that his friends may have used. God will lay up the wicked man's iniquity and unleash his judgment on his children. Job replies, however, that God needs to repay the wicked man himself for his wickedness, not his offspring, in verse 19. The wicked man himself should see his own judgment from the Almighty, verse 20. For to punish his household after his death does not really judge him, since he has no knowledge of his family's condition after death. And that's in verses 19 to 21. Let me just read that here. Aloha yitzpon lefanav ono. That is, God lays up or treasures up iniquity for his children, or his iniquity for his children. Yitzpon is from Safan, to treasure. It's the cow imperfect, third masculine singular. And let him recompense it unto himself, that he may know it. Yishalem elav veyeda. In other words, let God give a recompense to the person that's guilty. Notice Yishalem is from shalom, to recompense here. We have a PL stem, a PL imperfect, third masculine singular, from the root to recompense. Notice the Shavah Pathak doubling of the middle radical, and the Lamed showing a PL stem. So let him recompense it to him, that he may know it. The Yeda is from Yada, to know. Notice here, historically, this was a pei vav verb, where the vav has elided or dropped out. So we have compensatory lengthening under the yod here, that he may know. And here we have the cow imperfect, third masculine singular, from yada, historically vada. Let his own eyes see his destruction. Yeru einav kido. And I'm understanding kido here meaning his destruction. So let his eyes see. Yeru is from ra'ah. It's a lamed hey verb, a cow imperfect, third masculine plural, from ra'ah. So let his own eyes see his destruction, and from the wrath of the Almighty let him drink. Ume Hamat Shaddai Yishteh. Notice wrath of the Almighty, two nouns in construct here, preceded by the mem, the preposition. From the wrath of the Almighty let him drink. A jussive, a cow imperfect, third masculine singular, from shata, to drink. And then finally in verse 21, ki ma kepso veveto aharav. That is, for what pleasure is it in his house after him? And mispar chodashim hutsatsu. That is, seeing that the number of his months have been determined. Hatzatz is a pual stem, third masculine plural, from chatzatz. And so the thought here seems to mean that he cannot live forever. And what pleasure, what interest does the sinner then have in what's going on after him once he has died? Seems to be the thought here. So I'm going to stop here. I'm trying to hold these a little bit shorter than what I've been doing. I've been going a little bit much longer to try to finish a whole chapter, but I think wisdom says maybe not to do so much at a time. So again, the argument, as we said in verses 19 to 21, is probably interjecting, as we said, a possible counter, that while God may not judge the wicked right away, he'll do it on his children. And what Job is asking here is, what does that mean? That God sends to repay the wicked man on something he hasn't done. It should be on himself, not his offspring. And what would it mean after he had died if all of this was only on his family that followed him, since he would have no knowledge of it? So we now will pick up on the next video in verse 22. Thank you and have a good day.